I hear it in the air. I feel it in the air. Who's your neighbor? Who's your friend?
You're my neighbor.
There's
And you're
hate
my
all
friend.
around.
Well, there's some
I don't
hate.
care about your fucking politics. I don't want to hear about your politics.
I would like to hear about
well,
your
he said boo. And she said
And
hooray.
she said,
now we're
more.
human beings right here. Human beings.
Are we though?
We're here.
Are we?
All right. I don't think you
all
saw it, but I
right.
had the Ghislaine imposter dancing around on the screen with the music.
Oh man, it's funny. It's like it definitely feels like we're being trolled, you know?
Well, I have this weird I think we're gonna crack the case, bro.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna crack the case. I think that's why they're, like that scam won't work anymore,
Mm-hmm.
So it's time to move on to the next scam.
Right.
So this one has to blow up.
I think there's something to that. I do. And I do think that there probably, Lord knows how many Epsteins and Diddies are out there, already, and they work in different ways. I think the sexual blackmail thing is just one of the approaches,
Yeah.
And think about it. Maybe it would make some sense speculatively if that is what they've been doing for so long and it's worked so well and it's blowing up, it's like, might as well blow it up for good so that other people can't really use it.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Like
Right?
this isn't it's like I don't know, like what would be, like it's kind of like what happened with Scientology. Actually,
Mhm.
like for a while that kind of like worked for a while, and now they're just like cratering. Their membership is just cratering, So it's like at some point that Scientology scam stopped working. I think in a lot of part because of YouTube, because then there's like people whose whole channels they just go and mock and mess with Scientologists, which is not a good look. You know what I mean? That's not what you want if you're a Scientologist.
Yeah.
People. So yeah, and I think at a certain point, you can't hide this stuff anymore. It was built on boomer Illuminati technology. So they're like emailing each other about beef jerky and shit. So there's no like operational security or anything, because back then hacking into someone's email was not like a thing, it was not like a big, that wasn't like, it was like, oh, email's like cool, or something. I don't know. Yeah, so it's maybe time to move on to the next scam. And I like what you said, that it also might be kind of like a signal to anybody else trying to run the scam. You can't do this anymore, whether it's like that may actually be helpful. Like, hey, you can't run the same trafficking thing anymore. There's too much tracking software and too much, they can crack your phone and crack your email and see everything you're doing. So we have to do something else now.
Yeah. And it always struck me as like the antitrust laws, like my take on it was that the people that made those monopolies and made a fortune off of those monopolies and predatory practices, that they wanted to end that, at least in those specific fields, because they had done that. And now they're the king of the hill, and they don't want anyone else getting to the top of the hill and competing or rivaling them, doing the same methods that they used. So now it's time to they use the trap door, or the secret shortcut to get there. And now they'd like to close the trap door, the secret shortcut, so that no one else can use it. Like they did that. Now it's time to close that door.
Right.
And which brings me to the Jack Kruse idea that this is an infight between the Rothschild, Rockefeller, central banker versus the Techbro. Even though I still want to understand that more. I still want to see how that's a competing, like how that's an infight as opposed to, no, isn't that just one of many pet projects that, the central banking elite set up? Like what? They're not going to diversify into tech? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or
they're boomers, man. I think a lot of it's generational. This is just my guess, right?
Mhm.
A lot of it is generational.
Mhm.
They're 70 and 80. They can't remember their,
password or
Gmail
whatever.
password.
Yeah.
And I mean, to them, it's like they've controlled the world with like telegrams and letters and shit forever. It's
Mhm.
like, I'm 80, I'm not switching over.
Mhm.
And so you pass it down to your next
right
people, and they're going to use technology to continue on the thing. And so it's like if you have a bunch of families and they're at war, it's like once it gets turned over to the kids, they're going to use the new weapons
exactly
to battle the other families. I think there's just going to be an advantage whether you were in on the ground level. See, I mean, that's when you look at like the Maxwell family creating all that software, that kind of might have been kind of the idea when software was first being rolled out. I mean, that's what it seems like. I mean, I'm not making this up. It's just what seems like you create at the forefront, you created software with back doors, and then you sold that software to as anybody you fucking can.
Yeah.
And now you have these back doors, and so it's like a bunch of which is a feature, not a bug, right? I mean, it's like,
totally.
It's the way the internet is designed. You have all these choke points for the information, so that if you wanted to monitor the world's internet traffic, you just need to monitor a few different like server choke points, and you're totally fine.
Yep.
So that'd be my guess, is that it's more generational as opposed to tech bro versus Illuminati, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the tech bros are the first, the ones who jumped on. Oh, wait, these technology tools can be used to blackmail, to control things. Let's double down on this. While you've got other people who are just like, what's the internet? I mean, they're too busy on their yachts. It's not like they like right. You know what I'm saying? They're too busy on their yachts, traveling around, eating lobster, eating babies and stuff. It's like, they ain't got time to learn to sign up for email and shit. They're gonna hire someone else to do that. They're gonna have someone else. Like, what's the point? They've done it. They've won. At that point, from their point of view, I'm 80 years old. I have billions and trillions of dollars. I'm untouchable legally. Like, am I gonna try and like battle this like AI tech bro people? Like, no. I'll use my money. I'll try and buy this problem away. So my guess is probably it's a bunch of little group. I don't know whether it's little, a bunch of groups of tech bros of one type or the other. And then who's funding them? Are they on their own? It's like Epstein. He's like, I represent the Rothschilds. It's like, who are you being funded by? And then how deeply are you involved in the technology? And I just wanted to throw out here, even though it's a little bit change of subject a little bit, just this idea that Epstein seems to have had a bunch of other properties, locations, storage lockers, blah 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 blah. I was just reading about one in France. So I think we're going to keep finding places, storage lockers, and just to say it out loud, the Epstein. And I've been wondering lately if it was a kind of clever little linguistic maneuver to package everything up into the term Epstein files, because files to me means paper. In my mind, it means paper.
Okay.
It means files, the files, when really the Epstein files are videos. it's all of the video information. It's all of his secret hidden cameras. It's all of
Right.
the videos and pictures that were sent to him as attachments in emails.
Mhm.
That is the real shit.
Mhm.
That because with the files or with paper or with documents,
Mhm.
it is truly legitimate to kind of go, well, is any of this true? Are they actually talking about this? Is it a joke? Are they
Mhm.
referencing something? It's easy, but with some videos and shit, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. That's, I think, a lot of the reasons why the Prince Andrew or whatever is going down, because there's a number of really salacious, weird photos came out of him, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I just don't think you can, you don't think you can run from that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's a lot harder in terms of winning the hearts and minds of people.
Mhm.
Emails and shit just doesn't do it. You know, some
Mhm.
people are going to
Mhm.
believe it 100%. Some people are going to be 50-50, and some people are like, no,
Mhm.
all this is fake. It could be easily fake. I'm not going to give it any credence whatsoever. I'm not even going to consider it. But we
Yeah.
start getting some videos and pictures and stuff. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. And it seems like that's a lot of what gets erased. The Katie Johnson, I think, the Katie Johnson testimony, the Maria Farmer
Mhm.
paintings,
Mhm. Mhm.
stuff like that. It's just not as passed around. It's just not as actively put out there because it's just so much more disturbing.
Mhm. Yeah, like not everyone wants to have their stomach turn. You
Right.
know, some people do, but some people they're like, all right, that's enough. I don't need to see any more of this. You know, it's too much for them. Um, and I guess it's almost like, say, like those, like, how many people would get into animal rights if it was just reading about emails? Oh, I read all these emails about animals suffering. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that'll upset some, but seeing the footage of the animal suffering,
Oh, that's like
or
what does it.
that's what
Exactly.
does it, you know? So I do think that it does support your point that the videos are going to be the thing. Like whenever videos come out of Obama, Trump, and Clinton, you know, it's like it feels like, and again, I stand by that. I feel that I guess it's hard to feel bad for any of these leaders or politicians or whatever, but on the other hand, most of them are likely, in my opinion, just being held hostage in one shape or another. You know, where if like someone like Trump, like it does seem like that there's, say, with Iran, right? It seems like, and it's hard to really read the tea leaves, but you know he's clearly very beholden to the Zionists,
Of course.
uh, and they clearly,
By the way, who isn't?
yeah, no, exactly. By the way, who isn't? Exactly, exactly. But you know,
And
as
if they've
someone,
captured both sides, it's the most brilliant chess game of all time.
well,
You know, right?
which
It's
is
like,
their
of
whole
course.
strategy
Of
is
course.
always
Oh
to
God,
fund both
yeah.
sides, like, you know, and I never understood the why people are so can't wrap their mind around that. They're so used to like good versus evil, the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Like you better pick a side, you know, communism or fascism, you know. And like I was listening to something earlier today, and it's something that it articulated something in a way that's been a thought I've been having for years, but I, I was like, oh, I'll bring this up on the podcast. That it seems to me there's like different competing definitions of the word fascism, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's such a dirty word, you know, that it's really hard to find anyone this day and age who is like proudly like, I'm a fascist, you know, and it seemed, you know, and it was presented to us like this was kind of, I don't know, fascism versus communism. Um, and in the middle is the reasonable capitalism, you know, or democracy, whatever you want to call it, you know, but that fascism, because I really, you know, I think the fascists definition of fascism, they would prefer to have it just be perceived as people who are who have the mannerisms of someone like Trump or Hitler, meaning someone who overtly is trying to come off as a strong man, and appeals to, like, the kind of, I guess you could say, the animal spirits of us, as opposed to, you could say, the fascism with a smile that Obama represents, where he's going to deport as many illegals, or immigrants, whatever word you want to use. He's going to kill more people, more brown people in particular, but that's okay, because this guy is this kind of like effeminate guy who does not exude the vulgar or the obscene or the machismo, and in a way, if you can be the one who creates the definition or standard that everyone or most people have to adhere to, like if you try to tell people that like Obama that Obama is just as much of a fascist as Trump, they'll probably get very upset. And
right, because the definition of fascism isn't clear. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that it's always seemed to me that there are these competing definitions of fascism, where the classical definition of fascism is just basically the corporate state, when the corporations buy out the government. So now they work together as opposed to working against each other. And the government is theoretically, if you believe the mythology that government and statism presents itself as, is that those forces are, it isn't so much about the corporate state. They want it to be perceived as nationalism is what is at the heart of fascism, as opposed to, so it's like, so because there's nationalism versus internationalism, and the new word for internationalism is globalism or globalization. And so they want their system to be a global system that basically gets to monopolize or have the final say on markets, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about going to these different places and getting their resources, whether that might be rare earths or oils or lithium or
people,
whatever. Or people, exactly, or fucking people, and that's not something that's often thought about in war, that humans are not only human resources that are soldiers, but also there's the human trafficking, that now you get to kidnap all these kids or people, and then you get to sell them. You don't necessarily call it slavery, but this is all one giant slave system, and a lot of people who I've talked to in the past, they're like, don't use that word slavery. And then they kind of adopt this woke idea of what slavery is. And so they don't want you to call anything slavery unless it fits the thing that they imprinted. It's like whips and chains or something like that. As opposed to, no, you have to pay these people rent ongoing just to survive. They get to take all of your shit, and you don't really get to push back. You don't get to defend yourself. And that type of slave, I mean, think about it, like whether it's the debanking, and it's going to get weirder. It's going to get weirder in so many ways. They can turn your chip off in so many ways and prevent you from participating And we're seeing like whatever that Jacques Baud guy. We see Scott Ritter. I mean, I even saw something that Trump got debanked, which is kind of wild. Setting the precedent that a president could be debanked.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they can do it to them, then they can do it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And once your stuff, they can just take it away from you with no rights or no recourse and charge you rent just to breathe air, and force you to take experimental, poisonous, medical products. And if you don't, you will not be able to function, which is clearly it's going to happen more and more over time. And that is a way that they're going to kill many and poison many others. Some study just came out from South Korea comparing something like over 8 million people versus they only had like hundreds of thousands to compare it against that didn't get the vaccine. But these skyrocketing cancer rates amongst the COVID vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. So if you're going to want to go to the baseball game, or if you're going to want to go to that movie theater or that restaurant or that university, or get that job at some whatever company, then you're going to need to take this product that, at least in the first run of doing that, it's skyrocketing the cancer rates and the other various diseases. And this is in conjunction with the 5G and the rollout of 6G, and the spraying all these heavy metal toxic shit in the skies, And if you have a problem with that, they're going to call you all sorts of names and remove you from society so that your opinions will not really be considered or at very least well received. And while we try to crack down, or Trump's and them is like, we're cracking down on the UK's cracking down on free speech. Meanwhile, they're going to limit our free speech. If we try to write in Ohio, there's some thing where if you criticize Israel, they can fine you with $1 million and jail you up to 20 years. It's just wild, So that is cracking down on the marketplace, not only the marketplace of resources, but the marketplace of ideas. And it's just going to be really hard, very difficult to avoid getting thrown into that, unless you're just a normie who doesn't have a problem with anything. You just fall in line with the Republican Democrat shit. And they'll even crack down on that, But I don't know. There definitely seems to be public hangings and shots across the bow that are trying to have a chilling effect. And then there's the AI thing, where I don't see how we're not just ultimately ducks on a pond who are just like la la la, as I don't know. I don't see how all of our shit doesn't get taken. Did I send you that Harvard and Stanford white paper about AI and the AI agent thing, and they're battling each other, and they're going to use each other, these different AI chaos agents,
Mm-hmm.
That are going to, I just don't know. Like, I mean, we grew up being like, all right, if we live responsibly and we save money and invest and blah, 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 then, we're not going to be the richest people in the world, but who cares? But we'll have enough that will be okay. Versus, no. It's like they're closing the door on that. Almost like what we were talking about, closing the door on Epstein, or the ways that antitrust laws look to close the door on other people that might want to use the predatory monopolistic tactics of that they use to gain their power and wealth, and they want to close the door behind them so that no one else can use that secret shortcut trap door. I don't know. Sometimes it gets very daunting, and it's hard to be optimistic. And someone like Jack Kruse and his approach at least is like, hey guys, this is one of the few ways that we can maybe escape some of this. You know, you're gonna have to leave the country, you're gonna have to go to this place where they're gonna adopt, you know, and allow things like Bitcoin, which will, and I don't know, honestly, I don't understand enough about Bitcoin, but I trust Jack Kruse enough that there must be something to what he's saying. That it's one of the only escape routes, because it might be, especially if you have your Bitcoin self-custody, that maybe they can't debank that or take that away from you, or charge rent for you just having that. And once the CBDCs come out, you know, which would be programmable money, so that it'll expire after a certain amount of time, so you have to keep it invested in the company store. You know, they're making one giant company store that reaches across the globe, you know. And how are you going to escape the company store? Just like whatever, 100, 150 years ago, you had people that live in a little coal mining town and they couldn't leave the town because they owe their soul to the company store. And I don't know. I mean, I've heard Jack Kruse at times say how he's optimistic and bullish on humanity. And then at other times I've heard him, and it seems like he's like, shit, their system has worked, and now everyone is so passive and pacified and pussified that they're not going to do anything. You know, everyone's going to like try to save their own skin, but no one's going to stand up to this. You know, because he's basically like, this is the Paul Revere time, guys. This is the time, like, we stood up to the British 250 years ago, and ultimately that's what has to be done now. And I don't know a single person that's willing to do that. Like, not a single one. And I heard this tone in his voice. Maybe he was just having a bad day, but it was like, it felt like it felt to me like he was feeling or realizing like, shit, I don't think people, certainly not Americans, are going to rise up and do anything about this. They're going to stay in their Republican Democrat thing, you know, and whatever, rally against each other and protest against each other, but nothing in opposition to the giant empire global slave system that is being built all around us, the turnkey totalitarianism that I'm not really sure there's a way out of, other than blowing up the whole thing. And once the AI really takes over, you know, because I think this comes back to your point about the boomer Illuminati. They just want to hire people to manage these things and do these things, but then those people that built the tech surveillance police state apparatus, they're going to know firsthand the nuance about how that system works in a way that the boomer Illuminati are not going to understand it. And that's probably why there's a race for the boomer Illuminati to be like, let's just get this AI surveillance state really in full effect. Because pretty soon, you know, there are people that understand this better than we do. And even though we'll pay as much money as we can to get the best, most knowledgeable minds working on our side or on our behalf in this regard, they know that they're a little bit out of their comfort zone and don't know what to do about it. And that might be part of what someone like Jack Kruse is talking about with the infight, and that throwing aside the old guard, the old New World Order, and bringing in the new one. But I don't see how they haven't thought about this and set up many, many backdoors and tripwires and contingency plans. You know, you like what? You think Peter Thiel doesn't have like a however many videos of him fucking molesting a child? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see that. I doesn't. I guess I assume a certain amount of due diligence on their part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Jack Kruse would say Meyer Lansky didn't try to own resources; he tried to own people. Just have the blackmail on people so he could own them, and it clearly that's what the Epstein thing was, and you know, someone like Jack Kruse is saying that this is the tech bros doing this to kind of blow a whistle or draw attention to the boomer Illuminati. And I could kind of see that, but I don't, it doesn't fully make sense to me, because it would seem like such an ineptitude, such a rookie mistake, because their whole thing is funding all sides of any conflict. Why would they not be so heavily invested and have the Peter Thiels and like this Alex Karp guy? Like, come on, like this seems like we're being trolled. Like, these don't seem like serious people. You know, like they seem like clowns. You know, when you watch Peter Thiel and you watch him sweating like a fucking fool, you know, like he's sweating like Prince Andrew claims he can't, you know. And Alex Karp is like, I'm autistic. I jump around like a jackass, you know. Yeah, we murder people. Yeah, and I'm throwing my arms up and waving my arms around. It just, you know, just something about this just seems. It seems like theater, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as we get all wrapped up in this is like old news. You know? Like, I feel like as long as they can keep us on the old scent as opposed to the new scent, you know, as long as we only realize about building 7 months or years later, then whatever. Once we realize oh wait, a third building fell, it's like too late.
It's on to the next. It's on to the next act.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just don't see. I don't know, and I'm just open to that. You know, I don't know. There's a lot of shit I don't understand that I'm ignorant to. So maybe there's just a lot of shit I don't get and I'm missing. I feel like my instincts are pretty good, but then sometimes I listen to some people like Jack Kruse or like that guy Simon Dixon, who I've sent you, you know, who interviewed that Israeli woman who was talking about. I think I just sent that to you last night.
Yeah, no, I cut and copied because the summary of it is basically a different way of talking about what we're saying, which is that in this short clip, Simon Dixon speaks with ex-IDF Efrat Fenigson about the hidden power struggle between the military-industrial complex and the financial-industrial complex.
Exactly.
And the financial-industrial complex was there long before the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the military-industrial complex, I mean, is funded by the financial industrial complex.
Exactly.
But the military industrial now, what I just keep wanting to bring up, because to me, it's like my dad had a shirt when I was growing up, and it said the first rule of ecology is that everything is connected. And so, and then my brain brings up three body problem.
Mm-hmm.
The idea in the three body problem is that there are already certain groups and governments in contact with NHI, non-human intelligence, and that is the thread. That is the thread that connects all of the, because which group are you talking to? Like this book, what's her name? I need to look it up because I want her to get the mention. It's
Ann Jacobson or Linda Moulton Howe or
no, it's the woman.
Well, you could just say the book title or the ideas in it if you can't think of the name.
Yeah, it's this woman who's a Native American, and she just goes around and talks to other Native Americans only, because most of the time they're not willing to talk to white people anyway.
Okay.
Native American UFO star people. It's like Little Feather or something like that. Yeah, Andy Sixkiller Clark. Okay, so like, which wait, I should just say Andy Sixkiller Clark because I want people to read this shit. Those books, I think, answer a lot of the questions that we're asking, or not the questions we're asking. It answers, if 50% of it's true, then it complexifies the subject so much more because it introduces the idea that different NHIs are at the base of a lot of these power structures, groups that have power, the advanced technology, the direction for how to control Earth and keep people here, or the direction of freeing, quote unquote, freeing Earth, and which to me, because of what we were talking about last time, that means allowing people to leave the planet.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to control people, you don't want that. You lose control then. But to me, that would be the sign of a free planet. If you're allowed to go or stay or leave, you're free to go and you're free to stay. And that what a lot of what we're talking about, right, is the control of people.
Yes.
So, and in what way do you control them? You control their money, you control their ideology, you get them pissed off at stuff, control their movement, whatever. It's certain things. And all if they're allowed to leave the planet, all of that goes out the fucking window.
Yeah.
Everything you've done, the last 500 years of fucking control or whatever plans that you've done, suddenly it's just tossed. So, and so that's in the Andy Sixkiller Clark, she meets with these Vietnam veterans. One of the books is centered around these Native Americans who didn't know each other before joining the army. But then once they joined the army, they all kind of formed a little group because they're all Native Americans, right? And so it's like they're kind of like became like friends.
Yeah.
And afterwards, most of them moved to a farm in Hawaii. So she goes to Hawaii and interviews a number of them there. And then they tell her about at least one other guy that still lives in America, like in Colorado or something, that she needs to go and talk to also. And for some reason, I'm sorry if I've told this story before, but this story comes to my mind so often because it makes me feel like it starts to answer some kind of an underlying question. The more overarching question of what the fuck is going on, right? Not the details, not, this fight, these groups are fighting against this. What's the overarching things? And it seems like maybe perhaps it's about control at either a either at a physical level or maybe at a soul level. Look, if there's souls, if there's souls or that kind of thing, that would be one of the most valuable commodities in the universe.
Right.
If that's, but otherwise, just
Agreed.
the physical control is sick also. And so,
Well, sorry to interrupt really briefly, but
Yeah.
what if, in a way, to go with your point, that in the same way, it's like, oh, let me buy this land. It's like, okay, you can buy this land. It's not that valuable. Here you go. Here's the price for it. Thank you. I'll buy it. But really, we wanted the oil in the land or whatever under the ground, but they didn't know that they had all that oil there. What if the human bodies in the, and all
Yes.
that is right? Is the soul or the consciousness or whatever you want to call it, is like the oil under the ground
Yes.
that we still don't realize is the real gold of the
Yes.
gold.
Yes.
And right. And so to your point, what if the soul thing or conscious, whatever you want to put it, is the real deal? And that basically keeping us ignorant of that, just like you don't want the
Yeah, that'd be
people to
really
know.
fun. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
the person to find out
Yeah.
they've got oil underneath the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh
Exactly.
shit, you
Yeah,
know?
right?
Like, hey, by the way, I'll sell you this land
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cheap,
yeah.
but really
Really
cheap,
cheap.
but could I have the mineral rights? I'll give you
Yeah.
a great deal
Yeah, yeah,
as long as I get the mineral rights, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So she talks about one of the guys in Vietnam, his job, he was kind of a small statured guy and he joined really young. I think he said he actually lied about his age. He joined when he was like 16 or something.
Okay.
And he became a tunnel rat, which is when they would find Viet Cong tunnels, you got to send somebody in.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was his job, a tunnel rat. So
Uh-huh.
when they'd find tunnels, they'd send him in. And then if they a lot of times they wouldn't find anybody there. So they would just blow it up
Okay.
to make it unusable.
Mhm,
But sometimes they'd find people and of course kill them. Great.
Yeah, 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 of course.
So he talks about going into a tunnel. Wait, let me back up because the stories before this give a little bit of a kind of intro. Basically, these guys are all on a patrol together and they're going through the forest and they come upon these large glowing blue humanoid beings. And they can sense that these guys are like, don't mean harm, but you don't want to fuck with them. So they throw their weapons on the ground and they're just like, okay. And they realize that there's some communication that takes place and they're told that these beings are peaceful. And the beings are kind of like, why the fuck are you guys doing this? Like, what the hell is going on? Why are you guys like killing each other and stuff like that? Do you want us to like take you somewhere safe? Anyway, okay, so this encounter with the blue man. Then now we go to this guy who's a tunnel rat. He send him into a tunnel. He goes in with one other guy. There's no one in the tunnels. They're like looking around and they like push against a wall or lean against a wall or something, and it crumbles and it connects into this other larger tunnel. And they can hear noises in the distance at the end of the tunnel. So they crawl through the tunnel and they kind of fall into this room, and it's this huge giant room, and there's these fucking reptilians in there having like a meeting. And the reptilians attack them, spit like acid at them. It gets on both of their faces, but the guy telling the story says he's able to like close his eyes just in time, but it still like burns the rest of his face and blah 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 blah.
It sounds like Phil Schneider kind of stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, right. So they get beaten the crap out of, and then the reptilians go through like a portal or some shit. I don't know if I can remember that part. Right after that happens, the blue guys show up. Take them to their ship, give them a medical care, and then ask them where they want to be dropped off. And they get dropped off X number of miles or kilometers away. Which then freaks out the commanding officer because they lose contact with them. They don't come out. Then they show up fine, but like walking in from a different area. It's like, what the hell is going on? And so what the part of the communication with the blue guys is the blue guys are like, yeah, there's these reptilian guys and their whole thing is going around and controlling as many planets as possible. That's like their culture. That's their deal. And our culture, our thing is we kind of follow behind them and try and clean up the messes that they make. So it's like and that's just two groups. We're just assuming this is all true, right? We're just assuming this is all true.
Of course.
So it's like the exopolitics, if any of this is true, and probably it's way bigger and more complex than this, the complexity is just going to be off the chain, and it's going to be around the individual culture's relationships to when you once you're advanced enough and you find other planets, what do? Do you make peace with them? Do you hide from them? Do you set up treaties? Do you just like take their resources? Do you try and control their population? Like, what is kind of your approach? What is your kind of strategy? So if you've got some, and look, if we've got actual reptilians, they're going to come just at the right time, right as industrialization is starting to happen. And they're going to they've done this a bazillion times. So they get the most richest, most powerful groups and families. And they're like, look, it will help you maintain your control. And look, who's going to argue at that point? If you're like the leaders of the world and then some reptilians show up and they're like, hi, like, do you want to stay in charge? You're gonna be like, yeah. So they're gonna jump on this. So anyway, in Three Body Problem, that's kind of part of the underlying all these different governments battling and developing technology and stuff like that. It's which ones are in contact and are taking their orders from which NHIs in the universe. That they're not deciding the playbook. They're being told the playbook. They're being told and shown. We've done this 10,000 times on 10,000 other planets. This is how it fucking goes. We can tell you. You're going to do this, and then this is going to happen. Then you're going to develop the internal combustion engine, and blah blah blah. They can tell you everything that's going to happen. And gosh, if you're in control of things, that's exactly what that's the information you want to know. You can tell me what's going to happen in the next 100 years, technologically and in markets and in business and the rest of the world and stuff. Yeah, I do want to know that. I do want to team up with you. And if that means I just need to shut my mouth about you existing, or what, or I need to provide you with X number of people or something a year, no fucking problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And look, people might be that evil.
But let me ask you, is that really just
it seems like
evil?
There's a bigger drive. There's a bigger need for this human trafficking, organs, eating jerky. There's like a deeper thing, and it makes a lot of the past historical death cults sacrifice this to make the gods happy so they don't, you know, like why did they have to give away a virgin every year? Like why? Like no one wants to do that. No one's having a good time. There must have been a good fucking reason for it. And when you go and look, they say we had to give them to the gods, otherwise they got pissed off with this and would take 100 of us. More.
Totally. And then they take us out of power, replace us with our competitors, and they'll be happy to do it, you know. So that's why, to me, I'm not fully satisfied with the word evil for this, even though obviously it is evil in some ways and sounds evil. I feel like sometimes judgment takes us away from truth, and our judgment, our subjective judgment of good and bad, make it so that we think some things are good and some things are evil. And I know I wanted to send you something, because I guess I'm someone that, I guess this is called moral relativism. When you're kind of questioning what is true, is there a true morality? Is there truly a right and wrong? And I'm someone that, I don't know, I guess as an artist, I've always just felt like there isn't really a right and wrong, and that's very subjective. And that I shouldn't say that there isn't a right and wrong. I just say there isn't as clear cut a universal system of right and wrong. It's a more subjective, localized one. And I was listening to, and I thought I sent it to you, but I'm not sure. It was that guy I like, Jimmy Dore's sidekick, Kurt Metzger.
Yeah.
He interviewed that guy, Mark Passio. I don't know if I sent that to you.
I'm not sure.
It was like, if not, I'll send it to you, because it's really good. And this guy, Mark Passio, is a guy that's been giving these lectures for like 20 years. He used to be in the Church of Satan. and then he, like with Anton LaVey and stuff like that, and he left it. But at first it sounded like, in a way, he was someone that was like, would play heavy music. So, like people like you and I that are kind of like heavy or dark music.
Sure.
We're not so clear cut on like good versus evil, God versus the devil. We kind of think of these things more as metaphors or stories, or,
unless there is a Satan.
Right, unless there actually is
those
a
are the
Satan.
two. That's what I just wrote here. Is like, because I agree with you that good and evil are mostly culturally like created.
Yeah.
So when I thought about it, the only two things that aren't kind of resolvable for me or don't feel as relativistic is the psychopath. And if there is a, for lack of better, divine being that is psychopathic in nature, that derives pleasure from the pain of others, those are the only two that are hard to resolve for me. That, because I wonder, because I thought too much about this. Is there evil?
Right.
I've thought too much about this, and it's like mostly it's like, no, it's going to be based on the situation. We say killing someone's evil until it's like self-defense, or you're like defending your like baby, and then it's like fine, it's like hurry up, like nice shot.
Yeah.
But the psychopath phenomenon is extraordinarily interesting to me, and which is related right into the split, the dissociative, splitting the personality,
the trauma-based mind control.
Absolutely right. That seems pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And if there is a straight up Satan as a being, which is a really popular subject. I don't know if you've seen those videos and stuff. There's like, Satan lives in a pyramid in Antarctica, and all the leaders go there and meet with him to get their marching orders, because that would make a lot of sense, right? Like, because we're kind of looking for the overarching reason. It's like, oh, it was Satan the whole time. Oh, that makes so much more sense why shit sucks so much. Like, oh my God, because it would just be an agent of chaos that wants death and destruction. So you would play both sides of a military conflict. You would stir shit up. You'd be like, more death, more murder, more starving, more human trafficking. Yes, this is fucking awesome, But besides that, I completely agree with you. I'm sorry if I interrupted. I don't know where you're at.
Because I do, isn't part of the definition of psychopathy, being a psychopath, is that basically you are struggle or have a hard time with empathy. So I heard this guy who was like a therapist who worked with psychopaths, and he gave an example that this one person who he said was a psychopath was someone that used to, like, I don't know if torture was the right word.
Yes, correct.
But scare or torment or someone, and
especially small animals. That's one of the most common events or ways you can know if a child has psychopathic traits or if an adult is a psychopath. They'll talk about realizing that they really are fascinated or enjoyed or had sexual stimulation from torturing and killing small animals.
And so I'll bet you most of the people who hurt or tortured small animals, especially as a kid, they were probably people that had a certain amount of trauma.
Yes, of course. Oh, absolutely.
And so again, that's why it's like, this is a type of psychological or spiritual gardening, you could say, where you're creating a garden of psychopaths or soldiers, right? Because a soldier is like, if you watch Full Metal Jacket,
yes,
right? Matthew Modine's character is basically saying they didn't want soldiers, they wanted killers.
Yes. Follow the order.
You follow the order. Here's the bad guy. you need to kill them before they kill us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your justification to go and kill someone you don't know or know anything about. So we've cut off your ability or limited your ability to have empathy for them. Unlike that World War One scene that happened on Christmas, right, where the soldiers stopped fighting for a day or two over Christmas, and were hugging each other, and then the day or two after Christmas, it wasn't easy for them to kill each other the way it was before that. And so you could argue, and I do think, whether it's World War One in this scenario, or COVID, or whatever we're going through right now, I think there are different levels of man on the high tower that are watching things and observing things and recording data. And you have different levels of management that are recording and paying attention to different aspects of the phenomenon. But at the highest tower, you have people that, they want to understand some things that are difficult to understand. Like whether it be, how many times can we break this one person's bone before it stops healing? Well, how are you going to find that out? Well, you got to go and find people to break their bone, that same bone, let it heal and do it again. Like, which is so cruel and inhumane. It's like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get away with that? And most people aren't. So they're going to not be able to do it. They're not going to have the resources or to set that up where they can get away with it. You know what I'm saying? It comes cost prohibitive to find out certain truths on a real life grand level that can be something considered more than anecdotal. Where you have hundreds of thousands or millions of people that you're, to support whatever your fucking thesis is,
Mm-hmm.
or to find out how many times you can break that bone before it grows back, or how many times you can break the will of people before they just stop having hope, and then they just kind of like, I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones.
Sure.
But that guy Theon, who gets tortured by the bastard of Bolton, and he's tortured him, he's breaking his will, and then he has the girls come to him.
Oh my God, that scene is so fucked, bro.
It's so fucked. And just think about it, like that's what's happening to us on a mass scale, and they're breaking our will in that way until we just finally are so broken that when your sister and her people come to save you, you are like, no, this is another trick.
Yeah.
I'm not falling for it again.
Right,
like,
right.
No, Theon, this isn't a trick. I'm here to save you. And you're so broken that you're going to go against the people trying to help you, that now you've trauma mind controlled these people into become, they will do your bidding, whether they like it or not. And it's going to be so hard for them to ever leave that.
Well, and the thing is too, is you've already gotten a bunch of them on your side.
Yes.
You've gotten a bunch of hidden agents in the, because as you're talking, I'm kind of thinking like, maybe that's kind of what they're trying right now. They're like, have we trauma mind controlled the population enough where we can just be like, yeah, the Epstein stuff happens. And then we're not going to really put it in like mainstream media, but we're going to release it. And no one's going to give a shit.
Exactly.
And nothing's going to happen. And everyone's going to keep their head down, And everybody that's like me or you or something that's like, whoa, this is a huge deal. But then you look around and it's like not on the cover of the New York Times or something. It's like, whoa, like, wait, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's actually fine. This is like normal or that or something, like you're just like, okay, well, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And
Like the thing you sent about the Pizzagate thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right?
like all these people were actually involved
Yeah.
in doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, gosh, why aren't mainstream media picking this stuff up? Like, oh, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason. That's what gives me hope. That's what honestly gives me hope. That I see this as like a giant puzzle, like a chess puzzle or something. There's a checkmate.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
There's a checkmate there. Maybe it's 11 moves deep, and I'm never gonna like get there. But there's and I think that's part of what the AI and the AGI that is going to, just like with chess, you get a human plus an AGI, they're gonna unearth some shit. Just like Ian Carroll set up, like I think it's so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Ian Carroll
Set up that app.
Yeah, where it's like they're control. They're like, these are the files you can search. We're gonna give it this set of what it can look at. It's not gonna look at anything else. You're not gonna be able to change it. It's not gonna be able to cover its own eyes and be like, sorry, that's against my like use policy or some shit like that. So we're headed towards that where we're talking about information and connecting the dots. And that's what that's what both my mind and a computer mind can work together to do. And so I think there's not much time. I don't think they could have kept it hidden for much longer anyway, even if they wanted to. So I think it's like, oh, okay, well, let's get ahead of it. Yeah. Let's let it out now before the tools to be able to connect the dots are readily available to people. And I think there's the generational aspect, because it's like these motherfuckers that are implicated are kind of old now. It's like Prince Andrew, like, okay, fuck this guy.
Who cares?
You know, it's like, he's old enough anyway. Trump, he's old enough anyway. He's gonna die fucking soon anyway. Yeah, you know, like it's you know, they had their fun 30 years ago, and now they're fucking old. We're about to get our bell rung, so let's release the motherfucker. Yep. We can use it like COVID. We can see how much actual control we have over the population. We can kind of see like, oh, 80% of people just didn't give a shit. 10% of people really did, but they didn't do anything. And these 10% are the people who actually cared and are trying to like fight back and bring information and do research and stuff like that. Okay, now we know who to concentrate on. Now we know who to debank. Now we know who to like like pump, make sure we like install a lot of electromagnetic radiation facilities in the neighborhood. Whatever the fuck, you know, now you know who your troublemakers are, you know? And also you find out just how well of control, how the trauma-based mind control, how well has it worked? We've captured 80% of the population. It's like, yes, that's a victory. That's a huge victory. Who cares? You've got 10% of people who are like, not on my watch.
Right.
Because what am I going to do? What's my best bet? A podcast, right? And I believe in it. Like, this is important to me. This is the podcast I want to exist, right? Like this,
me too.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, but the level of power that we have is very low. Like, okay. Like, oh, you're putting on YouTube? Okay, we'll just control the number of people that it can go to.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and interestingly, anytime we use
Epstein.
No, music. Music is what gets us blocked in Russia, for instance.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because they're these goddamn capitalists in their music and their goddamn rock and roll.
I know, huh? That's interesting. I didn't.
Yep.
Well, you know, it's interesting because that can be perceived in different ways. You know, because I don't know if you saw, like, Putin gave the speech the other day.
Yes.
Where he was basically like, guys, you in the West, you don't realize that you have basically been the slaves of these sick, you know, these satanic pedophile, whatever. And it's like, you think your leaders care about you or whatever. It's like, they couldn't give a fuck about you. And they're the ones setting you guys up for this world war that they're pushing on us right now. And they're saying it's because we're these evil Russians, you know, who are just inherently evil, you know, while the other side of their mouth saying we're against racism and all that, you know, and he's basically like, you know, this is what's happening, and it's weird because the whole idea that of freedom, individuality, you know, like there's something to it that resonates in me. And then there's another thing that aspect of it that makes me feel like, you know what? Like something has been, like we have been fooled. They have tricked us into thinking that. And look, and I like
Well,
a
it's
lot
Superman. It's America.
of them.
We're the good guys. We're
Yeah.
freedom. We're
Yeah.
justice.
You know, but it's also this degenerate kind of, you know, where we start liking things that have, I guess there are just certain ways I didn't realize how I fell for it, you know, and I still like a lot of the music and a lot of the art, and I just can't, or presently cannot get into the religious thing. Like I'm into the spirituality, but not the religious thing. You know, and I view, I don't know. I guess on one hand, I feel like there's something very, what's the right word? Not just Christian, but you know, a dogma. Like I like to say, the only thing I'm dogmatic about is not having any dogmas, and but I do feel like, so when you're talking about like in Russia, some of the music gets us banned because they're like, we don't want our people corrupted by this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I see with my son that I'm trying to instill on him like wisdom and discipline, like self-discipline, not like, and because I like that saying that there's probably no greater path towards happiness than self-discipline. And I want him to understand that. And you know, Steph just wants to like give him treats and reward him, and you know, it's like all carrot no stick. Where I don't ever, you know, and I mean the metaphorical stick.
Yes, understood.
Yeah. And you know, and I'm like, no,
that shit doesn't work anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That shit doesn't work. You know, and I was like, but he has to know.
It does control them, though. I'm sorry. This just goes to exactly what we're talking about. The trauma-based mind control fucking works.
Yeah.
The stick works. It just causes them to get like super anxious and fucked up inside.
Yeah.
And then it's the, you know, the boss kicks the dad kicks the wife kicks the son kicks the dog, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
They're going to look for their way to get that tension out of their body.
Yeah, exactly. And that creates the cycle of the trauma-based mind control that leads to eventually the psychopathy.
Well, it's where the victim becomes the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah. And then the people struggle to have empathy because they're like, I went through it, they should go through it. And it's like, wait, just because you went through this terrible thing, why should you be doing that to others? And on some level, they're like, well, that's what the world that they imprinted. So they're just trying to pass on knowledge as best as they see it. But they don't realize that they have a very limited way of seeing it and understanding it. And Steph tries to do X, Y, and Z to reward him or whatever. And I'm like, you don't realize that, I know, like, you know, I say to her, like, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And she means well, but if he doesn't ever feel the consequences of some of his decisions or choices, then why should he ever learn or change? You know, and our job as parents, at least in part, is to help guide him to have greater self-knowledge and greater wisdom so that he can understand himself better and make better choices and not just take the easy way out when there's sometimes you just have to do the hard work for yourself, you know, and a certain amount of struggle and suffering is the only way to learn certain things. And there's no shortcut to that. And so before I had a kid, I had always assumed that these kind of liberal and progressive, all carrot, no stick approach made a lot of sense to me. It sounded a lot better. And now I'm realizing, like, oh my God, this is creating successive generations of more and more spoiled and entitled brats, you know, who take everything for granted, appreciate little to nothing, expect so much to be given to them, and they're getting weaker and they're getting less resilient, you know, and so in a way, that path to hell is being paved with good intentions from a parental part. But I think higher up the totem pole and higher up the watchtowers, they're like, no, we're doing this on purpose. Like, we want people dependent. We want them weak. We want them incapable of critical thinking and individual resiliency, you know? And
yes, that's easier to control.
it's easier to control. And I say to Steph, I'm like, you're unwittingly contributing to him staying dependent and weak and fearful and less capable of being resilient and having the courage and the, you know, the toughness to persevere through certain discomfort and pain that it's just part of life. And if you never develop those things, then you're building this, like, this spiritual house of straw. And it's quick and it's easy and it's convenient. But then once a stiff wind comes, the whole thing just blows over. You know, so it might be well intentioned, but you're weakening him. And this is something that and she understands that. And she's heard it enough from me, and she agrees, and she's seeing it manifest. And now he thinks, like, if he doesn't get what he wants when he wants it, he thinks it's because something unfair has happened or that someone has been mean, where it's like, no, it's just like you have only one mom in your life, and that mom is going to do everything in her power to give you everything that you want. And the rest of the world isn't going to do that for you. So now your mom, with good intentions, has created this false system of expectations where all these people are supposed to do X, Y, and Z for you. And if they don't, it's because they're mean or unfair or have something against you. And I realize how it's kind of like the idea of, you know, you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day, you teach them how to fish, you save their life. And no one is teaching anyone how to fish. Everyone's just giving someone a fish and feeding them for a day, you know, and that's part of the slave system, because now it's like you don't even have to do that much. You actually you can do it through things that overtly look like acts of kindness. You know, you set up a welfare system for them, and they're like, all right, now I don't ever have to fucking work or, you know, or uplift myself out of this, or that bootstrap bullshit, you know? And yeah, I just it's upsetting, you know? It's really a shame, because people ultimately are capable of all of this. It's not like any of this is above anyone's pay grade. It's just it's just they get used to the other thing. They get used to someone fishing for them. And I do feel that the boomer Illuminati that set up this modern system where we have indoor plumbing and we have, you know, we just put our garbage in a bag and then we put it in a garbage can, and then someone comes and picks up the garbage for us, you know, and all this, and how we have little to no understanding of what it is to be self-sufficient, you know. And I saw this thing on this video of this AI security expert, basically, and whatever, he's kind of sharing some doom about AI, about how in a relatively short period of time, like basically like 99% unemployment is coming. And one of the comments was, in 2020 it said learn to code. In 2025 it's learn to be a plumber. Mm-hmm. By 2030 it's, you know, run to the forest and hide. You know? Mm-hmm. And, you know, you see,
which was the message of fucking Taoism from the beginning,
right?
You know, it's just so intelligent, you know, right? Like, God. And that, I think I shared, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, but it really stuck in my mind and has impacted me that that's the true original purpose of martial arts is to make poor people strong and healthy, so that they're not dependent on the government to provide for them, and that it puts the mind on something beautiful so that it's not being put on some fucked up shit.
Right.
And yeah, that like the best leaders are the ones who lead by not doing anything. And that's how you can tell when there's like a prosperous leader in a prosperous land, and passing more laws isn't the way to do it, and blah blah blah. You know, it's like this isn't a new problem. You know, this is a new problem of gosh, these people in charge, they could be like taking care of us, but they're not. They build these giant palaces, and they eat really well even when we don't. And when we're going through a famine or there's some like a health thing going on, they don't give a fuck. Like, what's the fucking point? You know, like you know, what to do? Do you pursue the violent action and try and overthrow them? Or do you go in the forest and become a fucking immortal, you know?
Right. No, exactly. And you teach them how to fish. You know, you're not teaching them how to become a tycoon, but you're teaching them how to fish. And if they can fish, they can survive. You're not teaching them to be weak, you know? And in this system, in the beast system, it's, in order to be successful and do well, you have to become weak, pretty much. You know, you have to find a master and follow the master. And whether that master be a corporation, a country, and
this is so dumb, but it's what's coming to my mind. It's almost embarrassing, but it's like this past paycheck, my job just totally screwed up my paycheck. So I got paid like a fraction of what I usually did. And so I was basically like, at first I was upset about it because I'm like, come on, guys. But honestly, it's the first time in 10 years there's ever been any problem with my pay. So like, whatever. It's about time for something. So it's like, in my mind, I was like, okay, for the next 2 weeks, basically, I'm just not going to spend any money. All this is going to have to go towards bills and shit like that. And I'm just going to wait. And it went fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait, I don't need fucking money. I don't need to buy that. I don't need it. I have plenty of fucking food. Everything's fine. Like, I've got everything I need. It was such
Mhm.
a, it was, and so in some ways I'm thankful for that. Where it's like, oh,
Right?
wait, like, oh, we need so much less than
Mhm.
I have gotten used to. I
Yep.
need so much less. And I don't spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm, bro, you know, I like want to
Yeah,
buy some
yeah.
books and shit. But
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I can't buy that book right now.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh. And like right now, I can't even remember what the fucking book was.
Yeah.
So I guess it wasn't that fucking important.
Yes.
No, it's the realization we really just do not need a lot of stuff,
Right?
but we're used to it. We
Right?
got. I was born in America in 1982, bro.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I had a Nintendo, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. Video games are amazing, right? It's not that
Mhm.
these things are bad. It's that
Mhm.
I think what we're talking about is that there's a middle path wherein when
Yes.
you go past too much technological advancement, humans start becoming weak.
Mhm.
But a small amount actually is like really helpful, like
Yes. Yes.
refrigeration. I
Uh-huh.
was just talking about this last night, and this is directly from Bucky Fuller.
Mhm.
That the electricity, the probably if you're going to argue about its greatest value, it's that
Mhm.
of refrigeration
Mhm.
because it allows for a huge range of medications to be. It allows for certain medicines that need to be stored cold
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
able to stay good, sent to other places, used other places in terms of like lowering childhood the childhood death rate
Mortality.
and
Yep,
stuff like
yep,
that.
yep.
Yeah, like that shit awesome.
Mhm.
Like great. But then it goes too far. It goes too
Mhm.
far and now it's like, oh, use medicine, use the medical system to not cure but treat everything, you know,
Right,
like
right. Yeah,
so
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
that grows into this like fucked up industrialized system that actually
Mhm.
is weakening us.
Yeah,
It went from
exactly.
actually like holding up some things or providing some medications that otherwise a person might not have had that saves their fucking life, that actually
Mhm.
cures the shit. And now
Mhm.
it's like, oh, let's take Ozempic.
Yeah, right, right.
Like, oh man, I can get skinny with this. I got so
Yeah, yeah.
fat from
Yeah.
all of the shit I ate
Mhm.
because god damn it, Chick-fil-A is good. And now, instead of just not eating Chick-fil-A, now I'll use a new industrialized option
Mhm.
to not cure it, right? To treat it, because as soon as you go off of Zempic, you're going to get fat again.
Yep, yep.
So it's just to treat it, right? It's so much
Yep, yep.
more, it's so
I
much
know.
more profitable to treat it instead of cure.
Yeah, because then you have a lifetime customer. If you cure something, you're a one and done, and there's like very little profit in that.
Yeah.
And that's why, the profit motive is, yeah, that's just something I'm a real disconnect with right wingers about, is they're just all about the fucking profit motive. And I'm like, don't you guys see? Like, I get it why in some ways, some of us who come from the left, we maybe take for granted that capitalism has some benefits, especially earlier stage capitalism.
No, that's what we're talking about. There's a
Yeah,
lower, it's the
yeah,
middle line.
middle path.
Too
Yep,
little and it's not fair.
yep.
Too much
Too
and
much
it's
and it
weakening.
weakens you. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And we're about to see how we've been in the middle path this way. Even though each successive generation gets weaker and weaker,
Yes.
we're still in the middle path because we're about to see it unleashed, the full out weakening, that's going to come. Our sons might be like fully addicted to their iPads and all that, but like at some point we're going to fondly look back at now, be like, oh, I wish all the kids were just addicted to iPads all the time instead of having some implant in them, and now everyone is dissociated. Now everyone is disconnected from each other outside of this online metaverse or whatever, and this simulation that they're building, that is going to be a tokenized version of most everything. that represents reality very imperfectly, but at least instead you can, be like, well, I'm this avatar in this world where I'm I'm the shit, as opposed to just another, another one of billions of people who, has these flaws and imperfections that I don't like. And I wish I could get rid of these flaws and imperfections. And I just, yeah, it's just you could see the writing on the wall of how they're going to take this dependency and weakening thing to its fullest extent. I mean, it's already pretty fucking far, like at what point is it going to break? At what point? And I guess that's what the big setup is for, is that they're just gonna let us be living in these houses of straw, and then every so often something like COVID, it'll be like a stiff wind will come and just knock over like all the people that died from COVID, the people who had like 4 comorbidities, and like COVID didn't really kill anyone healthy for the most part. It killed people who health-wise lived in a house of straw. And you just got to have more stiff wind events, just take out shitloads of people. It's and this whole Ozempic thing is just fucking wild. I know some people that are on it, and they lost a lot of weight.
Of course, it fucking works. It's not that it doesn't work.
But dude, their face, they get this Ozempic face, and they look old. They look old and unhealthy, and I'm just like, what have you done? And it's too late. Because now they're fucked. And this is nothing compared to where it's going to be. They're going to come out with mRNA vaccines for cancer, and then people are going to get those, and then just whatever. It's all bullshit, and it's all bad for you, like George Carlin said. I'm just glad we got to grow up and experience the pre-internet world enough so that we can know what that was like, and also get to reap the benefits of the post-internet world with access to information like we have. There's no way we could have known what we know now without access to the internet. It was and now that's part of why they're like slamming the door shut and going to flood it with all sorts of AI fake videos of Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein and all this shit, to the point where,
oh man, my heart was beaten when I saw that one, because I was like, oh my god,
right,
that's her. But then as I looked more, the guy who creates it does AI modified videos, and there was a text message thread where he was calling people idiots for believing in that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, infuriating. Do it with somebody else, bro. We're trying to take down these motherfuckers. I know. Shit.
But that's the thing. There's so many ways they can do that, where they could throw us off the scent by just, well, these are all AI videos. You can't trust any of this. You can't trust anything unless the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or Fox News or MSNBC.
Yeah, no, and I think they can keep it relegated now that they've captured all the main news outlets. They can just keep it relegated to Reddit and shit.
Yeah.
And then they can control. Then the technocrats can then control. Like, have you ever heard of the dead internet theory, that like most of internet content is now just created by bots, and most of the comments and interaction is by bots as well? So it's like the goal is like, what you would want to do is you'd want to create a bubble around each human who's using the internet, wherein they think they are connected to the internet and interacting with other people, but actually it's all bots. You want to create a closed ecosystem for each person, because you don't want people talking. You don't want people communicating. You don't want information passing from person to person. You want to make it so the person thinks that you're talking to other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's the dead internet theory. It's really, 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 really interesting.
That is interesting. And that totally seems like this guy that's doing the Ghislaine Maxwell videos. I mean, I'd have to assume he's getting paid some money. They're like, dude, make some videos about
That's what he
this shit.
said. That's what he said in the exchange, because the person was like, "Why are you like doing this?" He's like, "I make a shit ton of money off of gullible people."
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's why I don't say money's the root of all evil. It's just the incentive of it. That's all. That's all. The person.
Well, yeah, the biblical quote is the love of money is the root of all evil.
I didn't know that. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Because in the Christian interpretation, you can only have one master.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a human master? Is it money as your master, or is it God? You can only have one master.
And it does seem like the idea of God, you know, whether it's an alien or whatever, NHI or an architect of this realm, you know, where there are many other architects of other realms or other gardeners.
Well, it's the Jiang thing. Are we God? Are we talking about the monad, or are we talking about the demiurge? You know, which God are we talking? Which level of God? There's levels to this shit. You know.
So what's the deal with the demiurge? What?
So the monad is the original creative principle of the universe. It is the universe itself. That the universe is alive and conscious in and of itself. All matter, all space, all time is part of the monad.
Okay.
Then from the monad, then there's a variety of beings that are then created within that system. So now you've got the stage is set, and now you can start having characters on the stage. And one of the characters is the demiurge, which is the god of this realm, the god who created life and created humans and created the earth and wants to be in charge and wants to be worshipped.
So
right?
Kind
it's
of like
the God of the
level.
Old Testament. It's the God of the Old Testament. He's a fucking asshole.
Uh-huh.
Go kill all those babies to show you
you're loyal to your
loyal to me. I'll kill all the firstborns for you. Here you go. Bam. He's an asshole. So not that. So monad, not asshole. Demiurge, asshole. And that our only chance, and that within the Christian occult context, that Jesus is sent as an emissary from the monad with the message of, no matter how fucked shit gets here, no matter how these demons and evil beings and the demiurge, whatever, try and fuck with you, you have the spark of the monad within you. You're alive. You exist. It's a guarantee that you have the spark, the original creative spark of the universe within you, and that you can get access to it. And that if you can gain access to that, if you can reconnect with that, if you can become aware of that, then you will have a way to resist the pull to do evil, to go out to love money, to kill all the babies, blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, you won't fear death. That the main tool of compliance is the threat of torture or death. And that if you're no longer scared of that, it will be almost impossible for
to be controlled.
Powers that be to hijack your emotions, turn off your prefrontal cortex, and force you into doing to force you to eat some babies, because apparently that's what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Which is the delivery of the second tree of the Garden of Eden. There's 2 trees in the Garden of Eden we're not supposed to eat from. We only got to 1 before the asshole demiurge throws us out. We only got to knowledge of good and evil. The second tree is the tree of everlasting life. And that is what Jesus brings back. That's what Jesus promised. Believe in me. Through me, you will have everlasting life. He is the fruit of the second tree.
Hmm. Interesting. Because yeah, it does, just like almost like a piece of legislation. All you got to do is change a word or a sentence to invert the whole meaning.
Oh,
That
yes.
it's always felt that way with religion to me, that all you have to do is change a word here or a sentence there, and you can invert the whole meaning, and then it gets really hard to know.
Well, nobody fucking reads it anyway. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
fastest way for a Christian to stop being Christian is read the fucking Bible.
Hmm.
But we don't want to. You know, you should check out the Deconstruction Zone. I highly recommend that. That has educated me more than any other source about actually what's in the Bible. Because that guy, he knows both ancient Greek and Hebrew. He went to an actual real divinity school and started to realize, holy shit, there's some huge problems with this goddamn book. And because, like, for instance, like in the Garden of Eden thing, once we eat from the fruit and we get thrown, and God, quote unquote, God finds us, there's a scene where God is talking to other gods, and he goes, ah, shit, these humans ate from the tree. Now they will have knowledge like we do. And I know, you know, like the Elohim thing, the Elohim, it's plural. So it's like, but nobody reads it. Nobody pays attention to it. You know, it's like we've said so many times before. It's like only half of the people are going to be listening. Only half of that group is actually going to follow up. Only half is going to be persistent enough to get any effects. Only half of those are going to keep it going until they really, truly understand something. And by then you're just down to like 1% of the population. It's like we're seeing with the Epstein stuff. You can leak it. Half of the people don't even know. You know, to me or to you, this is like a huge deal. But like, really, I wish I could just go ask a bunch of 100 general population people, do you know about the Epstein files? Do you know who it is? And I'm scared. I'm scared to be able to do that, because I think 50% are going to go, no. Like, who is it? Oh yeah, I heard about that a long time ago. What, is something happening with that right now? And it'd be like, what?
Well,
it's like one of the biggest political stories of all time.
Right.
And I'm scared to know just how many people even know that it's even on their radar.
Right.
And not because they're dumb or bad or something. They have to go to work 50 hours a week to fucking survive. They got to take care of their family. They got to eat. They got to sleep sometime. They got to take a shower sometime. They probably don't have time for this shit.
That's right.
They're sick. They got cancer. They're got to get treatment. Now they're dead.
Yeah. Well, like a couple of weeks ago, I brought up to my dad, and I was like, so what have you heard about it? What have you read about these? He was like, oh, not much. And he heard about the Mendelssohn thing. You know, the guy from Europe, the UK, that got busted about it. And he was like, that's basically what he heard. You know, and then last week I went away with my brothers and their families, and my brothers' wives. I was pleasantly surprised that they were really into this. On the other hand,
I think women, I think the whole child protection thing. I've seen a lot of videos from women having like real hard time with this.
Yeah. Well, because I guess you could say there's a spectrum, and on one end of the spectrum, there's the psychopathy, where the person, it's very difficult for them to have empathy. And then you could say, and this is something that some of the, I think Elon Musk has, talked about, toxic empathy, or suicidal empathy. And so again, I guess there's the middle way, where it's having the proper amount of empathy, and honestly, I can have empathy for, that's what I was talking about, even some of these leaders that are doing these terrible things. I do feel potentially one of the only ways to get out of this is maybe to grant amnesty to some of these leaders who are being held hostage by this, that have done these terrible things.
It's like there was a few people that were willing to flip, and then they get killed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but I think they're on the lookout for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. They're on the lookout for that shit, you know? And I do think that on the highest towers, you have people that are keeping tabs on all of this and making sure that some people, how are people going to react? And you're going to have some people that are going to try to be like, all right, I'll turn, I'll flip, I'll admit, here's these pictures of me molesting kids or whatever. But, I had to. They had a gun to my head and they said, if you don't do this, we kill you. And it's like, all right, maybe you're not going to go to jail for the rest of your life, or, because you got to offer them something to do that. Right. Where it's like, all right, your offer is that you're not going to jail for the rest of your life, but your money is gone.
Well, and everybody's going to fucking hate you. Getting the social ramifications that's the most powerful. Kill a motherfucker, whatever. Throw him out of the tribe, and he'll have like a mental breakdown.
Exactly.
I wanted to mention this because I just saw it, and it's so important. I want to make sure it's like logged for internet posterity. Did you hear about the Epstein prostate thing?
Oh, that he had no prostate or something?
Yeah, he had his prostate removed, but then I've got it on the screen now. When he died, and they did the autopsy on him, in the autopsy report, the prostate is slightly and diffusely enlarged with marked enlargement of the verumontanum. The testes are unremarkable. So the body double had a fucking prostate, but Epstein did not.
Wow.
Meow.
Damn. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's sure fucking is. Well, see, that's kind of my point. I'm just some dumbass guy. Eventually, enough of this information, enough of the linkages, and I just had it on the screen. I know you don't watch it, but because I mean, it's a little bit interesting to me. There's starting to be some resignations and arrests, right?
Well, in Europe, right? In Europe, and you have that near suicide there's by the Norway guy,
former Prime Minister of Norway, charged.
Yep. But after he tried to kill himself.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, what I'm saying is, like, I could not believe when they brought Prince Andrew in or whatever. And did you see that picture of him in the car afterwards? That is a priceless photo. Oh my God.
That was a priceless
Holy
photo.
Shit, bro. Talk about a picture's worth 1,000 words. You know what I mean? And then I think it was just today or maybe yesterday that Bill Gates was like, yeah, I did hang out with Epstein and did fuck around with a couple of Russian ladies. He like, sorry about that. Like, my bad.
Yeah. I know.
And how about these storage unit things? Oh my God.
What's that?
Because the thing we have to admit, as much as I don't like him, he wasn't dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he was smart either. I'm not saying that either, but he wasn't dumb. And he knew he got away with what he was doing for a long time. So there's this idea that it's a New York Post thing. Jeffrey Epstein stashed secret files in storage units across the U.S.
Yeah, I did hear about that. So to me, that says either he's trying to cover his ass and have some sort of contingency plans for, because what the people that are going to capture him or want him captured, they're like, your job was to get all of this damning information on all of these powerful people that are relevant to the
access agent thing. Yeah.
So it would make sense for him to cover his ass by, all right, I'll store this shit in places that they don't know where it is because I'm working for people, and these people are at some point very likely to throw me aside once my usefulness is done. So maybe it was a way to contingency kind of cover his ass, kind of like remember that guy that we watched on that Project Camelot thing, the Gary McKinnon was his name?
Yeah, of course.
Right. And he was and which seems so far-fetched. Remember, he was talking about like the off-world agents.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Stuff like that. And then I remember like a handful of years later, that guy showing up on more major news and they were like, here's this whistleblower or whatever. And I was like, whoa. I was like, this guy's getting covered in the real news, like, you know? And but he was saying, they were like, and they were like, well, what do you do to protect yourself? And he goes, well, I have information that, you know, I have hidden under lock and key that will be damning to them, so that if they ever try to do something to me, you know, I have this backup plan. And so it seems like it could be something like that Epstein's doing, or it's, let's think about it. If you're creating this whole digital system and all these people are making these emails and you have financial records and all this, you know, digital paper trail of most everything, maybe you're going to want to hide some shit in some fucking podunk storage space in Bumblefuck.
Oh, I'd have them everywhere.
Right? Exactly.
Like I would have apartments and places everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'd have dead man switches everywhere.
Exactly. You know, so that makes a lot of sense to me. You know, now I guess the question is that him doing it, or is that his, you know, the people he's working for that doing that, because they're covering their ass against the tech bros that they're working with, but they're like, the tech bros are building these back doors to everything, and we're gonna, you know, we need to. It's an insurance policy for you know, the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller type people against the tech people, you know, because they probably have this shit in security boxes in their banks and shit like that only they have access to, you know. But you probably want to have a diversify your insurance policies and your backup plans. You know, that would. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
What could be the reasoning for that, you know? Because that would make a lot of sense that they have that. And I think that would be inept for them to not have that. And I do think it's very possible to not understand or see every single angle, but, you know, they're still humans who can make mistakes and overlook details. You know?
Yes. I have to go. I don't know how the time flew. That's unbelievable. Bro, how long can we go for? Imagine if we have like a guest sometime. Like, we're going to be like Danny Jones. We're like 3 or 4 hours in. Like, holy shit, I got to take a break to go to the bathroom. Damn.
Right.
Great fucking talking with you as always. I'll post this shit later on today.
You know, great talk with you, man. And dude, I want to have one when we're both nice and drunk, you know?
Oh, for sure. Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that would be great, you know?
And just so you know, I know you don't watch the screen a lot of times when we're doing it. Like while you're talking, I put up on screen almost all the stuff that you send me, like from X or Twitter or the stuff I've sent you. I'll leave them up on the screen for a little while, so it's like kind of
back it up and
well, yeah, and it's just to get it out there. That's it's kind of a little bit. I think it's a little bit sneaky to do it this way, which I like. Like we're talking about stuff, but then there's also other stuff on the screen that's maybe what we're talking about, or it's just other information stuff like the, you know, I you know, represent the Rothies and stuff like that. The information, the evidence, the stuff you send me, just so you know, it's getting used. It's getting used and getting put up there.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.